Hello, everyone. It's me again, Stevie Childs, and my channel is Stevie Doe the Silver Fox. I am back because I'm still transitioning on my path to retirement. As I mentioned last week, I was going to do a five-part series on retirement. So today we'll cover the first topic. Are you ready to retire? So please subscribe if this is something that you're going through and you like. Please subscribe and join my channel. So there are a lot of things that we need to consider before we retire. We can't just up and say, okay, I'm done. This is enough. And another thing that we look at is and discuss here is why? Why are you retiring? There are many reasons for people to retire. Some people retire uh, without a choice. If your job is changing or downsizing, sometimes they will give you an option to move with the company if they're leaving and ask, give you an option of retirement. Sometimes you have to leave because of health reasons. It could be your personal health, it could be the health of a parent. You may need to take care of them or bring them closer to you, and you just can't do all of it. Sometimes it's your child. You have to retire for their health. So that's another reason to retire without a choice. What's another reason? Another reason is stress on the job, and that's occupational stress. I looked that one up. And occupational stress can be brought on by many reasons, downsizing, work overload. Sometimes when a company downsizes, they increase your workload so that you could cover more. Then your expectations become unrealistic, or they want you to go through additional training to assume another the responsibilities of another position, and then sometimes they don't want to compensate you for that additional work, and that becomes stressful to you, and you're trying to keep up because you're trying to keep your job. And then once you sometimes when you succeed at it, then they want to add more, or they just move on, not even acknowledging the additional work or the additional responsibility, or even acting as if they appreciate it. And when you go through these transitions at work, it can become extremely stressful. And occupational stress affects you in many ways. It can affect you emotionally, physically, it affects your relationships, it can affect your relationship at home. If you got to take that work home, for example, then that cuts back on what you can do with your family or your responsibilities in the household. There are, but so with that being said, and I don't want to go on too long about that. With that being said, sometimes you have to leave the job just because it is killing you. But here's another thing before we go into just up and run out the door. Occupational stress, you can make adjustments. And we will talk about that in another part of this five-part series that I'm doing. But sometimes you can semi-retire. That's something that I've been hearing quite a bit lately. So that is another option. So our topic for today is it time to retire? And what we're going to do is just casually go through some of the things that we need to consider before we make that decision. The first thing that we should consider when we are planning our retirement is our physical health. Are we in good physical health? Is this something that we need to work on and can be improved? Is our physical health diminishing due to a chronic illness? Are we physically able to maneuver Do we need to make adjustments in our household? Do we need to build a ramp? For example, if you have MS and you're very functional now, but you know in the long run, something, your body is going to deteriorate and you may need a wheelchair. Now is a good time to put that addition on your home so that you can access your household be and open doorways and make it convenient for you. Another thing is, do you have arthritis? Will that be an issue in your life after retirement? Do you need to put safety bars in your restroom? Physically, I'm just looking at issues that we don't think about while we're younger, healthy, and physical. But once we get older or once we retire, these issues come up. And the older we get, the more health issues we will face. So, some things you can do in advance as a precaution or to make your life easier is, can your home accommodate what you foresee in your health? So, those are things we have to consider. Another thing is intellectual stimulation. Okay, once we leave the job, and for many of us, our job is very intellectually stimulating. Just the responsibilities of it, the interactions that we have on the job. But once you come home and away from that environment, what will you do for your own stimulation? Do you like to read? Do you like museums? So if you like museums, here, I live in the Houston metropolitan area, and I know on the first Friday of every month you could go into museums, and we have a wonderful museum district. And you can go into museums free of charge. So if you're planning to retire, look at those things because you definitely will need to watch your pennies, but it doesn't mean to decrease your quality of life. But back to the point, intellectual stimulation, interacting, do you only interact with older people? Do you need to create bridges between you and younger family members or friends so that, you can learn what's up and coming, you can learn what's new, and you can share, it's that stimulation comes from a purpose and sharing as well. So you can share with them and you can learn from them, younger people. And another thing that we need to consider is our social relationships. And I touched on one about connecting with younger people. But another thing is for many people, when you work 20, 30 years in a job, your social relationships can easily become your co-workers. You go to lunch with them, you go to shared outings with them, you celebrate one another's achievements on the job. But as you get older and your children sometimes move away and you don't have access to them on a regular basis or as much as you would like, your friends, if they're not retiring with you, they cannot be that uh, social social connection the way they have been in the past. So now you need to find some other interests. There are a lot of things that's available during the day for senior citizens. They're for anyone, but it typically is good for seniors because you're free during the day. You could go to the gym, you could join social organizations, you can go on day trips. I would always hear my aunt talk about day trips when she was younger, and I was like, really? But she really has some wonderful, wonderful life experiences, and she made friends going on day trips that she had until the day she passed away. So that's another option. What will you do socially? And maybe you need to take an inventory of your interests. Uh, and, because I know there are some things that I loved to do when I was younger, but I didn't necessarily lose interest, but I lost time or I didn't have the finances to continue it because of my financial responsibilities changing as my family changed. But now I'm retired and it's just me, so what will happen from there? Another thing is your family relationships. For me, that is very, very important. I love spending time with my grandchildren, but honestly, because of their energy, I have to prepare for them to come. That means I like to prepare activities for us. Outings for us. I have to be prepared to cover the expense of the things that I like to do with them, planning things. Here's another thing. I got a good idea. Um, from I don't even remember where I got the idea from, but I know it was a great idea. If you don't live near your grandchildren, you can send, and I know this is off topic. We're still talking about things to consider when we retire. So, our children and our family, how do they fit in? Once we retire, will we travel to see them? Will they come to see us? But here, back to my tip is send your grandchild a package of flower seeds and a kit maybe to put together or plant flowers. Then when you call them, that gives you a common interest to discuss. And you could do it. That example was flower seeds, but it could be anything that you could create a common interest with one of your grandchildren. And but back to the point, social gatherings. Will those social gatherings be in your home? Will you be going out for social gatherings? How much do you help children? Will you be able to continue to help them? Or will you need your children to help you with things? I'll give you a clue. Here's a little secret that I did, and I actually got it from a friend of mine. My child was on my cell phone bill. So I switched it over. We switched the plan and I joined her cell phone bill. And then, I intended once she graduated from college and she started working, that she would take care of the cell phone bill independently and that would remove a bill from me. You know, I carried her for many years on a cell phone so she can carry it on out. Last but not least, the most important thing that you have to consider before retiring is your financial situation. Uh, and first, you have to take an inventory of what you have. Okay. And once you do that, determine if you have enough. Okay. And if not, what do you need to do to accumulate enough? And then determine how long will it take you to fill that gap from where you are to where you need to be financially in order to retire. And I'm going to let you know what I've decided to do personally is I'm taking a year and I'm paying off all of my credit cards. The hardest part of that is just learning to say no. No to myself, no to friends and family who want me to go out to lunch, to go on vacations, to go out to dinner, or, and the biggest part really is to myself. No, you can't have that dress. No, you can't buy that car. And so those are the things you have to do. You have to make sure, first and foremost, that you are financially ready to make that leap. And so you have to do an inventory of where you are. Then you have to look at where you need to be able to handle your expenses after retirement and have enough access to do the things that bring you fulfillment socially, intellectually, And as I mentioned before, you may have to take care of a lot of these things or a few of these things before you retire. So, with that being said, I know our priorities change as we get older. And for me, I value experiences and enrichment and purpose now far more than I did when I was younger. So, do you find that as you have grown older, your values have changed? If they have, share with me and everyone else that's watching the video. Take a moment and share. How have your values changed? Do you care more about experiences than you do about achieving? Are you still building or are you cruising? Those are a few things that I would love to hear from you. So, getting ready for this new normal that is quickly approaching us, we have to make some big decisions. But this is definitely not a decision that I can make for you or anyone else can make for you. When it is time for you to retire, you know it. And if you gave me comments last week on my video, I want to first say thank you to you. I was really surprised and overwhelmed at the amount of support that I received, the feedback that I received, and hopefully every week I will get better and better. So if you have any comments or questions, please post them below. Like and subscribe to my channel. Again, I like to say my name is Stevie Childs, and my channel is Stevie Doe, a Silver Fox.